everybody, it's Miss April for session 5, Free Will and Choices in our series for creating connections using conscious discipline at home and at school. So the topic for today, free will and choices, is a tough one when it comes to little people. I'm going to try to make it clear as I go along because this is one that will take quite a bit of practice. Focuses on a lot on making choices, making specific choices, how to make those choices, and how to offer choices to your kiddo. So bear with me. Again, this may be one that you would have to rewatch in order to have the full understanding. So let's get into it. Today, the attitude shift is going to be harnessing the power of free will. How can we use it? How can we use it with our kiddos to our benefit and to their benefit? The shift from how can I make my child behave a certain way to how can I help my child be more cooperative. Those are definitely very different shifts. One is based in fear and one is based in love. One of the quotes from this that has really stuck with me as a parent and an educator is fear controls and love structures. And I think that that is a really important mantra to kind of put in our minds, to keep saying fear controls and love structures. I think sometimes we have been taught and programmed to, like we had talked about before, kids have to listen to what we say all the time. My apologies, there's a terrible thunderstorm going on right now, so I'm going to try to ignore it. But if you do hear thunder, or to be honest, if the lights flicker, that's just part of living in a rural area. So my apologies. So let's continue to be on task with fear controls and love structures. So when we are offering choices to our kiddos, we want to create two positive choices that have favorable outcomes versus a positive choice and a punishment. Therefore, you're sharing with your child exactly what you want to have happen, yet they are able to choose. Now, we will preface it with, we all know in times of safety, in a matter of a dangerous situation, there are not choices. There are not always going to be choices. Doesn't mean that you still aren't using conscious discipline within your everyday. So I just encourage you all to be able to have that discretion. Offer choices that empower the child versus a choice between do what I say or be punished, which can be looked at and it feels like a form of manipulation. So again, let's focus on fear controls and love structures. When it comes to free will, the power of free will is the belief that every person has the ability to choose to be helpful or hurtful, either to others or themselves. Each and every one of us is responsible for how we behave. With that said, we cannot make others behave. They must choose for themselves. As a parent, that one takes a little bit to process because, again, we do know more. We have lived longer, yet the choices that we offer them are so very important so that we are instilling in them that ability to choose for themselves. On the flip side of that, others cannot make us behave in certain ways either. We choose whether we like it or not. There's some questions. Does the baby make you get up in the middle of the night, or did you choose to have children? Do you have to go to work, or do you choose to get a paycheck to provide for your family and have those responsibilities? Again, like I said, these questions are kind of button pushers. So if you're kind of feeling, I would say, a little bit offended, I understand it. Because again, what we're saying is that you have to really shift how you have thought. So again, in fairness, this is a tough session. Think about some of those should and have to statements that we make when deciding how much responsibility we take or power we give to whoever. I should call Sarah. I will call Sarah. I have to work out. I am going to exercise. This same belief of the should and have to statements occurs in discipline too. By forcing our will on our children, even though well intentioned, yet not respecting their free will because we know better. Like I said, ouch. By forcing our own will on our children, we don't respect their free will because we make the assumption that we know better. Making children mind by getting them to behave is a common belief as a parent's role. And if not accomplished, then we as parents have failed. We have failed in our duty. This is what sets a lot of parents up to fail. We have decided that all of our kids' choices are simply based in our choices, in how we have handled certain situations. That only sets up to I'm wrong, I'm right, you're wrong scenario with hurtful assumptions that are only going to hurt us. It took me into probably kid number like 6 to understand that I can't do your homework for you. I shouldn't do it for you. You are capable. And if you don't turn it in, you're going to be the one that misses that football game. You're going to be the one that loses their phone time. All of those things. I remember like running around like a crazy chicken. My kiddo would give me a call. Mom, I forgot this homework. Okay, I'd run and give it to him. And of course, every kid is going to have a day. But if that's on the second, third, fourth, fifth time with that same kiddo, I now have the confidence in myself and in my kids to say, you know what? I'm sorry that you left that at home. I really hope that you grab it tonight so you can turn it in tomorrow. Whatever the consequences are, they are, has nothing to do with how I have parented them. Which I will tell you, it's a little bit freeing. You have the ability to be direct. You have the ability, give them that ownership. I will tell you that my kiddos, once I did that once or twice, understood. And it has actually made them better, more responsible students. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. Can we make someone, no matter how old they are, do something that their heart is set against? Well, sure, we can, but are we using force or are we giving them the opportunity to willingly change their mindset? When we use force, we say that it's all right to force influence on others because we know better. And I'm going to tell you, as teenagers, you don't want them to think that anyone can force them to make a decision. It's the epitome of peer pressure. So we want to teach them at a young age that their self-esteem and their ability to make a choice is a commitment to being who they intrinsically are. Who are they motivated to be? So again, I think that's a huge connection between what we teach them when they're little of sometimes I'm going to tell you what you're going to do and you're going to do it. And then when they're 15, you're like, well, don't listen to your friends. Don't do that. So let's start empowering them at a very young age to understand that they have the ability and the capability to make a choice. Let's rethink the beliefs of living a life controlled by others and battling for control of others and start to take ownership, become an empowered parent, and give our children that same gift. The only person we can make change is ourselves. Yet we want our children to choose to be helpful and cooperative. The one best way that we can do that when they are kiddos is by offering structured choices. Remember, fear is control, love is structure. How do we get to a point where we know how to offer structured choices? This is where the power of acceptance, attention, and assertiveness come back into play. Those were all in previous sessions of different skills that we touched on. Accept the moment as it is, focus on what you want to see more of, make a choice of what we could do as the next step, and assertively command it. Follow up with the encouragement and the high five worthy parenting. When we provide choices, we allow children the opportunity to learn how to choose as well as be responsible for their choices. These are some cool things. Choices help children and adults increase their attention span, develop decision-making skills, follow through on tasks, improve their self-esteem, develop responsibility, feel empowered and capable. And when you give them structured choices, you have a much higher chance of cooperation. So I think those are all great skills that we want our kids to have and we want our teens to have. We want to have. If the choice is a positive choice and a punishment, let your sister swing or we are leaving the park, they may choose to avoid punishment by choosing the positive, but they will miss out on a true moment of choosing it, which then encourages all the things that we just read. We want them to have those opportunities to feel that, to intrinsically be motivated. These are the little opportunities that we can use to create a learning experience that creates healthy values. So when you are creating two positive choices throughout the day to instill the value of commitment, choices structure the situation and they help the child succeed at the matter at hand, which is what you want. You set the goal as a parent. So I think sometimes with conscious discipline, with my own teachers and myself, it's like, well, it just becomes a free for all. They get to do whatever they want. And that's where we have to backtrack. That's where we're trying to use control and fear instead of giving them the opportunity. Give them those two choices that they're going to succeed. They're going to be able to do no matter what. Create a situation where either choice is acceptable. It's a win-win for you as mom, dad, or teacher, and allow the children to exercise their will safely. If you do all of those things, you are going to be building self-esteem by noticing their choice. Encourage them, even if they are dragging your feet, kind of making you teensy crazy, by noticing you chose one more underdog. You were this high, and keep going with them. Keep encouraging every little thing. And remember, be specific with what you are saying to them. Let them know that you are paying attention. By keeping the attention on what we want to see, you will have more positive parenting moments. So here's some things that might happen. What if they hesitate to choose? This is your signal to offer and point out the choices that you have made. This creates the opportunity for genuine praise when we notice their ability to make a choice. Model acceptance of their mistakes to alleviate the fear of disappointing or being wrong. They're not going to follow through with everything you say because they're human. Remember that. Even though they're little, they are human. They're going to make mistakes, and let them know that that's okay. When a mistake happens, offer them two more choices that you can live with. If we make a mistake, here's a big one. Acknowledge it, apologize if needed, and state what you can do differently next time. What if your kiddo is resisting structure? They're not going to do that. Don't want to do that. It's not time for that. Testing limits is a developmental process. It's normal. Be okay with it. Remember, QTIP, quit taking it personally. This will help. If a child is discovering where they begin and where we end and who they are as an individual, that's part of that process. Use parenting in these situations, which means calmly repeat the choices. And when they do it, celebrate them. Celebrate them lavishly. Let them know that you know and that you notice that they were doing something good. If they continue to refuse, you can just tell them, you're having a hard time choosing. I'm going to choose for you and move on. They might be ticked little gremlins at your feet. Just keep going. Don't give them that ability to turn those situations into negotiable. They're not. I give you the option. You didn't want to make those choices. I'm going to make it for you and move on. What if they keep changing their minds? I have one of these. To get my daughter to make a decision at times can be painful for all of us. So what if they change their mind? This often can indicate stress or an overwhelming feeling, but sometimes it's also a learned behavior. When this happens, it's a signal that the child needs to slow down, calm, and connect in the moment and throughout the day. So some of the things that you can do to help them connect are get on their level, say their name, wait for them to make eye contact, breathe, do those strange breaths that we were doing. You can do the belly breath, they can do the star, the drain, the pretzel, all of those. That's why you incorporate conscious discipline into your everyday. So when they're changing their minds and you have to be somewhere in an hour, you can go through this process with them. Offer choices, notice what they do, and stick with it. You can use picture cards. That will absolutely help create that schedule. We had shown those in some of our previous sessions. Picture cards for the schedule can sometimes take away some of that overwhelmed feeling or stress that a student can be having. By the end of the day, they're exhausted. They have had to do a lot of work. As we near the end of this session, some of the things that we can do to commit in our own lives in order to be incorporating conscious discipline all the times are when it comes to free will. You can change what you say to make a choice and live with it. Change your I have to's to I will or I'm going to. I should becomes I could. Allow others to have their own thoughts and feelings that differ from yours. Resist the urge to make others happy or change their view by convincing them that you have the answers. Remind yourself 3 times a day that the only person I can change is myself. When it comes to building self-esteem for us and our kids, practice making choices in your day-to-day. When someone asks you where you'd like to eat or meet, make the choice and stick with it. I think if you have a spouse, you understand that date night can lead to the biggest arguments because where do you want to go eat? I don't know. I don't care. Tell them where you want to go and then have them take you there. Plain and simple. Avoid false choices. Can the child choose to stay awake or must they go to bed? Don't give them the option to stay awake. Don't provide opportunities to create that conflict. And figure out where you need to give an assertive command or a choice. Make sure that your assertive commands are best used when your child is overwhelmed or anxious. Help them know that you are in control of this situation by your voice. They don't have to be stressed. They don't have to be nervous, and you can't be stressed or nervous. Some of the things that you can do within your home, we have some at the school. You can make some picture rule cards that can help. So what you do is you have just a strip of paper, which I can kind of show you here. So you would have 3 pictures. These 2 are acceptable options. This one is not. So this helps some of our kiddos. We use that as a last resort because we would really like to have that connection and that communication. But some of our kids, when they're overwhelmed, they need us to stop talking. So when we are done speaking, then we can show them the pictures and the one that is not acceptable. And a lot of times that can help bridge the gap. All right, have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will connect for session 6. Thank you.